I've been using the Dunu Titan S2 for the last few weeks for everything, but predominantly for gaming. I think they're a pretty good all-purpose gaming solution, and I think for a lot of people, it's a great IEM for dipping your toes into the IEM space. IEMs come in all shapes, sizes, and sound signatures, and this is the Schwarzenegger of IEMs. With an outlandish chrome design and bombastic tuning, everything about the Titan S2 feels big and explosive. This isn't a package that will suit everyone, especially when it comes to music, but for high-intensity action games, this is the literal definition of bang for buck. Now, as usual, here's my disclaimer. I am not an audiophile, and this review is skewed towards gamers. Of course, I will talk about how they sound with music, but ultimately, my recommendation is based on how good I think this IEM is for gaming, and also what types of games I think it's best suited for. The Titan S2 is a single driver IEM. It has an 11mm dual chamber magnetic circuit dynamic driver with a U-shaped tuning. In layman's terms, that means big bass, crispy highs, and decent mid-range. It's a bit of a kitchen sink scenario when it comes to accessories. Along with the IEM, you get a nice cable with both 3.5mm and 4.4mm plugs, you get a cable clip, a hard carry case, and you also get 4 different tip styles. The case is pretty massive compared to the typical cases you get with an IEM, so it'll easily hold all your bits and pieces as well as any additional accessories you might need. The only additional thing you'll need is some way of organising your tips. I've used saddy bags because I don't mind looking like a dealer. The cable is one of the more unique designs I've seen. It has an interchangeable plug system that lets you swap between the 2 different plugs. It's also protected by a nylon shock-absorbent mesh, which does a pretty good job of remaining tangle-free and reducing unwanted noise from the cable rubbing against your clothes. It comes with a clip, which I haven't needed to use because I've mostly been sitting down while using them, but if you're worried about the weight of the cable or microphonics, it's there if you need it. The cable uses a standard 2-pin connector, so you can easily swap it for something else if you prefer. It's worth noting that the shape of the connector on the cable it comes with matches the IEM, so if you are swapping it out, it won't be as ergonomic. The housing is made out of chrome-plated high-density alloy, and it's definitely the most gamer-looking pair of IEMs I've seen so far. At least until someone figures out how to shrink some LEDs down into something like this. And yes, good luck keeping them shiny because they smudge up the instant you touch them. Now, probably the only concern I have with these for gaming is that they aren't the most comfortable solution for long sessions, but they're also far from the least comfortable. I have pretty sensitive ears though, so your mileage will definitely vary. Each earpiece weighs 9 grams, and this has never caused any issues. For me, the issue is the cable. It rubs on the top of my ears in a way that most other IEM cables I've used don't. Thankfully, it doesn't get increasingly uncomfortable over time, and it can easily be fixed by using a different cable. There's no denying that the S2 is not a subtle sounding IEM, with a big sound that makes them pretty entertaining for gaming. You get a lot of energy for action games such as explosions and thumping bass and music, and then you also get enough detail for audio cues like footsteps. Mid-range detail is present too, so for games with lots of dialogue, these stand up to the task well. Imaging isn't bad, although this isn't the widest sounding IEM, so while individual sounds are easy to identify, they feel like they're mostly coming from the same direction. Soundstage can be remedied using virtual surround sound, and they work pretty well with the PS5's 3D audio or something like the EPOS GSX 1000. For sound whoring purposes, they perform well. In X-Defiant, for example, footsteps are clear as day, and it's very easy to tell where they're coming from. For this reason, I think the S2 is perfect for competitive shooters, giving you both a big sound as well as an advantage. I wouldn't say this tuning is fantastic for all types of music or for long sessions, because I find them a bit fatiguing after a while. For music, this is contingent on what you're listening to. For metal, dance music, or your favourite get-up track, the S2 will definitely satisfy, and it's a similar story for games. The tuning might be a bit too punchy for long sessions or for playing something chill. If you want a more relaxed and easy to listen to sound signature, then maybe check out something like the Kefine Delchi, link to my review in the description. Now, in terms of the tips it comes with, you get 3 sets of silicone tips. This gives you various shapes and bore widths to experiment with. You also get a set of Dunu's stage and studio tips for a wider soundstage. I hadn't used these until now, and I was actually pretty surprised at how much they open up the sound. Of course, IEMs are never going to compete with a pair of open-back headphones, but I think this is a nice compromise. I also think these tips will be a good alternative for people with small ears and for people who just don't like the silicone style. All of the tips are also extremely easy to get on and off, so experimenting is super easy. Overall, they're not a bad IEM for music, especially if you like bass. I just think the tuning is better suited to the high-energy sound design that a lot of games offer. At $80 US or $120 Australian, the Dunu Titan S2 is a solid choice for your first gaming-focused IEM. They come with a ton of tips letting you experiment to find what you like best, and their ostentatious tuning makes them an exciting sounding solution that still has plenty of detail for competitive games. If you predominantly play more relaxed games, then they'll still get the job done, but I do think there are better options out there for that. In terms of music, I like them for high energy music like drum and bass and metal, but I think they're less suited to acoustic and easy listening tracks. Although I'm pretty confident that's not the target audience. It's clear from the bold design and tuning that this solution is designed to make a statement. This is a solid IEM overall and definitely gets a thumbs up from me.